Yesterday, we were still on the gospel of being professional, and the prescription that we were looking at is what we can learn from Nigerian professional courses, that is law, accounting, medicine, and engineering. So, we ran through a couple of things, standards and best practices prescribed by these professions that will come in handy to those of us who are wedding planners, wedding photographers, and other people who are in the event space. So we've looked at dress, punctuality, and clarity of communications, and being really clear on your work specifications. That's what we did in previous episodes, in the immediately prior episodes. And so today we're going to look at case management methodology. Now, what does case management methodology mean? Now, with these professions, we typically have a case file approach to dealing with things. So the lawyer has a diary where you enter in your appointment dates. I'm supposed to meet with Mrs. Ogbomosho on so and so date. On the diary, you also enter in your court appearances. We're going to be in court, High Court 5 in Kano State, on the matter of Ogbomosho versus Mr. Felix or whatever. And then you also have a file, and the file is going to be a written record of what it is that is transpiring. When we met with Ms. Ogbomosho, what did she say? When we got to court, what were the proceedings? What was the decision on this preliminary matter? And what is the next course of action? And so you'll find that for those of us who have been trained to be lawyers, because even though I'm a wedding photographer, my previous background, my academic background was in the law. So you find that even when we get involved in other businesses, because we have people, my classmates, who are involved in investment banking, entertainment, construction. I'm a wedding photographer, so I guess you can call that media. You'll find that it's still an approach that we pretty much follow anyway. We have the personal diary, we have the office diary, we have the case file, whether it's a physical case file or whether you're using Google Docs. But you find that that is sort of the approach that those of us with a legal background still keep till this day. And so it's the same thing with accounting. They have the diary for appointments and stuff like that, but I don't know if they keep diaries of meetings and things of that nature. But I think accountants have a case file mentality as well. It's the same thing with medicine. There's also a case file mentality. In fact, in the old days, you would get to the doctor and there would be that huge case file, the one that has been there with all your records from when you were about 2 or 3 years old, when you started with them, and now you're 10 and you're still at the same hospital, but everything is there. So now it's a huge bulky file. And so doctors, case file. And for engineers, I'm not quite sure how they work, but I know that they have workflow maps. What else? They have workflow maps because they have to use project management techniques to make sure that things are going on time. So if you're building an expressway that's going to link, Abuja to Abeokuta directly, they need to have a product, not a product flow. What's it called? This is something flow. Is it a flow chart or whatever that says for the road to be done by 31st of December 2027. You need to do tar work by so date. Because of that, it means you need to do grading work by so date. Because of that, it means you need to do leveling work by so date. Because of that, it means you need to do excavation work by so date. So it's just basically a big if this, then that, do this before that kind of thing that they have to adhere to. So I'm sure that we're kind of getting the point now that one standard that all these professions have in common is that you can't run things by memory. You need to have a methodology for managing your case. And I'm sure, as you have seen, especially as you relate with these people, law accountants, doctors, and engineers, you find that there is no one size fits all. There is no best. You just have to use what seems the best at the moment. So if an engineer was to try and use a filing system like we lawyers do, it wouldn't make sense. They'll be overwhelmed and things will get lost in the detail. So, flow charts and project management techniques, seem to work best for them. But then on the other hand, you see that medical doctors and accountants can go with the case file system too. So for those of us, how does this relate to those of us who are in the wedding industry and in the event space? So basically it's the same. We can't run off of memory. If you do, too many things will fall through the cracks. And so there are lots of things at our disposal that we have to use. So we can borrow the case file system that lawyers and accountants and doctors use. You can give that a try. You have a meeting with someone, you don't have to open the file immediately because not everybody is going to close and do business with you. So I don't know, maybe when they paid the deposit, maybe that's when you open up the file and you put all the details there. That the wedding is November 25th. Okay, let's say a wedding planner. That wedding is November 25th. This is the budget. These are the number of guests. These are the venues. This is what is planned. These are the the things that are contingent. You have to wait to see if one thing happened first before you go ahead with another plan, and you write everything down. Some people do a diary system and they're okay with that. I tried the diary system early on, but it didn't seem to work for me because I didn't always have my diary with me. So there were times that someone would call up, I'd need to have an impromptu meeting, and then when I get home, I'd forget to enter the details into my diary. And when you forget to write things down like that, you have problems with follow-up or follow-through because there's some things that would have been decided at the meeting that we need to know A, B, C, and D by November 15th, and you say, no problem, I'll get that to you. But you get home, you forget to put it in the diary. Because you didn't put it in the diary, when you open up your diary tomorrow, you don't see it there that you're supposed to work on ABC to be ready for November 15th. And of course, that makes you seem like you're unprofessional and not a man of your word. So that's why the diary system didn't work for me. Some people use a log system. I was with my friend, Benga Wellington, at his office yesterday. And he's still using a log system. For me, I find that a bit onerous. But there are people who use a log system and, nothing they happen. They're working real cool with that. So you log everything. These are my meetings. This is when they're supposed to hold. You log the date, you log the time, you log the chief outcomes, you log the follow-through actions. Just keep logging everything. But that didn't work for me. And you can also use a calendar-based system. In fact, I've even seen someone use a what's it called? This big board that you have in offices. It's a notice board or something. So basically, it's like one of these. It was a real estate type firm. So on the board, you just have it was divided into a couple of sections, and you have client names and projects on sticky notes, basically. And so you have them on one side or another of the board, depending on which stage that they're at. So some sticky notes are the inquiry stage, some sticky notes are in the in progress stage, some sticky notes are in the being executed stage, and on and on. And although it's not something I would recommend anyway, because for those of us who have kids and if you work from home, all that needs to happen is for your children to come and look at it and say, oh, nice colors, and then they just rip off the sticky notes and then rearrange them, and basically they just thrown you off your game. So there are lots of different things that we can use as case management for our case management methodology, but the most important point is take whatever it is that you're already used to, because what you're already used to is something that you will actually do and keep using it to the max. Now, so one thing is going to happen. You're going to use it to the max until the volume of business increases and then things break down. That's when you know that you need to move on to something else. So in the beginning, when you're only getting one inquiry per, a month, running things from memory is not going to be a problem. But by the time you start getting 2 or 3 inquiries per month, memory isn't going to work anymore. So let's say you now start using the shoebox or the notice board. That might seem okay. But eventually you're going to start getting maybe 10 inquiries per month. And, that's a lot of sticky notes. That doesn't make sense anymore. And maybe you now move to the file thing until your inquiries increase and you just have too many files lying around the office or in your bedroom. And then you decide you're going to use Google Maps. And that seems to be okay until you realize that, sorry, not Google Maps, Google Notes or Google Docs. So that might be okay until you realize that Google Docs doesn't give you a flow of what is happening on the calendar. So you can't really, if someone asks, are you free November 25th? You can't really say, oh yes, I'm free, by looking at your calendar. And then you link your calendar to Google Calendar on your phone. So you link your Google Notes to Google Calendar on your phone so that things pop up on the calendar, or you actually start writing down in the physical diary. It depends on you. The point with this example that I've given is just to show how you're going to start one way that you know how to do and that you're comfortable with. But over time, the demands of business and the changing context will demand that you switch and move to something else. For instance, in the sales space, there's this thing called software called Salesforce. Now, that seems to be the pinnacle of managing your customer relationships. But at the level where I am in my business, and I suspect where you are right now, it's just me and a bunch of other guys who execute. I can't call them employees because I don't pay them a salary. We're all independent contractors, more or less. And when there's a job, we all huddle up and get some work. But even if there were employees and they were all running sales for me, I really wouldn't need something as complicated and as expensive as Salesforce. So what I'm doing right now with my mobile applications is just fine. But on the other hand, if you were a Dangote, for instance, trying to run huge businesses like that, using any of the methods that I have described, or just running things from your phone, clearly that wouldn't work. Which is why these people have a personal assistants or several personal assistants, coordinating with heads of departments and blah blah blah, and what have you. But bottom line, there has to be a way that we have to do our case management. So, okay, how do I handle my own case management? I'm sure you figured that I've run through I've tried a lot of these things before, but the conclusion that I've come to is that what works best for me are mobile app solutions. So I'm using Google Calendar right now. That's because if I lose my phone, whether I have an iPhone or an Android, all I have to do is buy another one, sign in with my Google, and voila, all the details are there. So I'm just focusing now on apps and cloud-based applications so that I have access to all my data whenever I need it and wherever I happen to be, whether I'm on the phone or on the laptop or at the cyber cafe or whatever. So that although I wouldn't recommend it anyway, going into a cyber cafe and then logging into your Google account to get access to client files and things like that, because these are open computers, and so it's a security risk. You don't know what kind of viruses and Trojans might be lurking behind the scenes. But pretty much I just focus on mobile, and it's the same thing with for running my invoices. Luckily, I was on Wave Invoices on the Wave app before they closed off to Nigeria. I don't know why. They've said that for those of us who have accounts on Wave, we still have access to it, but they're not accepting any more new Nigerian signups. So that is the app that I use to track my invoicing. So right now, if I'm done with this podcast and someone gives me a call and we have a chat and it's November 25th and we're cool and we all agree and everything is going nicely, if they want a quote, I'm going to send it through Wave, and it'll be emailed to them in a PDF format. I'll have access to those records, can download, keep for future reference, and then when they pay, I can also issue receipts from the invoice as well, And the reason why I like the mobile approach is I can do this all from my phone. So it doesn't matter. I could be in Makudi for another wedding when the client makes the payment. All I have to do is just call and say, "Oh, thank you very much. I've received payment. Unfortunately, I'm out on a gig right now, but you know what? I'll send you the receipt last 10 p.m. tonight when I'm done." And it's cool. When I'm done shooting the wedding in the village and I get back to my room, all I have to do is just whip out my mobile phone, get my my power bank, plug in my phone, and voila, I'm ready to do some work. I can respond to emails, I can send out that invoice that I promised, and so that's it. My own personal advice: whatever case management that you decide you would like to try out, just keep it mobile based, because for now I think that is what works best for people in our situation. So yeah, by the time you get to Dangote's level, I'm sure that a whole bunch of the stuff that I'm talking about now might not apply anymore. So bottom line is, if we want to stick to what Nigerian professional core standard is, we do not run things from memory. Pick a case management style, pick a case management method, and stick to it. It's going to save you a lot of hassle. Use your files, use your diaries, use your logs, use your calendars, use your scheduling apps, use your invoicing apps, use your budgeting apps, use your customer relationship management software. Just use it, basically. Don't try and run things from memory. So, I think that's it. I'll just call it quits right now, and I'll catch you guys on the next recording tomorrow.